2025 session. Just got two things on our agenda today, committee members. You're going to notice we need to adopt our committee rules, and then we have one bill. Senator Summers has Senate Bill 13, which you all will recognize as a bill we passed out unanimously last year. So let me give everybody just a minute or two to look at the rules. I'll make your job easier and let you know that the only change is that the quorum went up from 6 members to 7 because the size of our committee has increased. We welcome our new committee members. Freddie Powell Sims, I think I saw her here earlier. That's her pocketbook anyway. And the Minority Leader, Senator Harold Jones. Good to have y'all with us join this committee. We have quite a few interesting things come through here, and we welcome your experience and legislative acumen to help us along the way.
Mr. Chairman, since nothing's changed, I'd make a motion we approve the rules.
We have a motion and a second. The only change was
The one change.
we increased the quorum, so we made sure we have at least
That
a
one change.
majority of the committee present. I learned through either Legislative Counsel's office or the Secretary of the Senate's office that you do not have to include ex officio members in setting your quorums, but I felt like it was a appropriate thing to do to make sure that the majority of the members on the committee, since ex officio are allowed to vote, should be here before we take any action to move a bill out of committee. All right, is there any further discussion on the proposed rules? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. And any opposed, like sign. All right, that will be a unanimous vote, Paige.
I probably should have made his Senate Bill 13 in that motion too, but it could have been done, but he didn't do that. He missed his chance.
We are a deliberative body, and as our audience knows, this committee has more seniority combined than any other committee in the Senate. I'll total it up again here shortly, but we are some wise old gray-headed men and women here that have been around the block a few times, so we will be able to review our proposed legislation with good discretion. All right, let's call up Senate Bill 13. I'm going to ask you, Senator Summers, to present it to us.
Yep.
You're welcome to do it from here, or you can go to the witness chairs, whichever makes you most comfortable.
Mr. Chairman, if I can do it from right here.
That'll be just fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Mr. Chairman to get started. Joel Wiggins and Matt Seal, please come up. As you know, Joel is a lobbyist here. Matt Seal is the Economic Director of Coffee County, Douglas, Georgia. Take a chair right there, guys, and whatever. This will be short and sweet. I asked Matt to come by because Matt, our county, in my district, Coffee County is affected most by this bill. We passed this bill, as the chairman said, last year out unanimously. Basically, what's happened is in South Georgia, the natural gas supply is at capacity. They don't have enough gas to bring in new industry in Coffee County. And I'll let Matt talk to that, if he would, a little bit about that. But basically all this bill does is allows GFA to loan money to municipalities at a low interest rate so they can expand their gas issues that they have on natural gas. And Matt, if you will, Matt, should state your name, please, and tell us.
Sure. Matt Seal, I'm the CEO of the Douglas Coffee County Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Authority. Mr. Chairman, thank you for considering this bill. And Senator Summers, thank you so much for your support on this for not only Douglas, but all of the communities in your district. Basically, and to be specific, it's not the natural gas supply that is an issue. It's just the capacity to transport that. And so since GFA has the responsibility and carries out very well to help with water and wastewater systems for cities, counties, other local government entities, we're just asking if that be possible for natural gas as well. There's nothing that states that it can or can't. This really just seems to be a clarification bill. So this just allows us to increase the capacity of natural gas to Douglas. We've been growing over the last several decades. We'd like to continue. And we're at a point where, because of the last project we brought that just started up within the last year, anybody that needs some kind of substantial natural gas load, we'd have to turn them down. And we're in a position where we'll have to turn down new jobs and new capital investment in a rural community. And that doesn't put us in a good position. We just like the ability to take matters in our hands with that resource and keep building and keep growing for our people.
Is this a specific business that you need the additional capacity to bring to your community, or just in general the business community?
It's in general. We're trying to be forward-looking. As I said, the last business that was part of a poultry processing ecosystem took up the last part of it. So there's a little bit for some smaller things, residential, whatever. But if we have a new industry prospect that wants to locate with us, there's the potential we'd have to say, I'm sorry, we have everything else you need, workforce, the site, everything else, but we don't have the natural gas capacity delivered to you for you to come here. And again, that just puts us in a real bad position economically.
So you're pretty maxed out on your current pipeline, or whatever you
Yes.
would call that?
Yes.
Okay. And I remember this, not real sharply, but kind of from last year, is that the current law doesn't really say that GFA cannot make these type of loans, but it doesn't say for sure that you can.
That's my understanding. This is not a reversal or a change. It really is just a clarification, allowing them to loan out for this important infrastructure just as well as it does for water and wastewater currently.
Do any other committee members have questions for the sponsor or Mr. Seal from Coffee County? All righty. Anybody else want to speak? Joel, do you have anything that you want to add to? I've talked to you in my office about it, and I welcome your input if you got anything you think would help us.
No, sir, just thank you, Chairman, members of the committee, and, this really it's an economic development measure, and we really are focused on South Georgia and Douglas Coffee County. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I have one other individual. Do you have a question?
I was curious if-
Senator Ginn, I'll recognize you for a question there if I got you right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm number 3. So they, was curious, is anybody here from GFA to speak?
No, Mr. Mark Woodall has signed up to speak. I don't believe anybody spoke from GFA last year. They have not expressed any opposition to me. Okay. Mr. Woodall, if you'll take the podium there, I'll light you up so we can get you to speak to us. If you would, please introduce yourself and give us your views on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Mark Woodall, the legislative chair for the Sierra Club, back to complain about another natural gas bill. I see that the House bill has been greatly improved this year with all these distinguished senators that have signed on to it. So it's better than House Bill 1294. And we never got an explanation from Representative Perkle what was going on until Senator Tillery got up on day 39 and tried to amend this bill onto the Gas South bill and said the first cause was because the governor vetoed that $10.8 million for Douglas because he said it wasn't clear if GFA could handle that. So we think if Douglas or any other city needs some grant money from the state, that could be run through DCA or some other place. So we think this is an example of mission creep and a dangerous mission creep. I was just looking at the GFA report. They executed over $300 million in the Clean Water State Revolving Fund last year, over $97 million in the Drinking Water Revolving Fund, and then the energy money. And all that money got stopped here briefly in Washington, D.C., so we don't know if that money is going to keep showing up. And I heard the gentleman from Douglas tell the folks in the House committee down at the Americas that water and gas and sewer are the same. But I would say that water and sewer are necessities, and gas might be good for economic development or necessary in some places, but that's been handled by Atlanta Gas Light and the private companies and the cities that wanted to get into it ever since 1856 when Atlanta Gas Light was started. So we just don't think it's a good idea for the taxpayers to get into another line of business, and we don't know what's going to happen with the money we're getting right now. So we are concerned about that.
So from the environmental stand, what's the beef with natural gas? I mean, we were all upset about coal-fired plants generating electricity and shut most of them down. I was told that gas was a much cleaner alternative, less carbon footprint, and that it was something that the environmental groups would favor over electricity to power our plants, et cetera.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we're not in California, so I thought I'd go with our business case against this bill. But
Okay.
no, we were saying,
I
a
just
couple.
keep thinking Sierra Club wasn't a business organization. I thought it was an environmental
Well, I'm a
club.
business guy, sir. But
Okay.
the deal is, we thought gas was going to be the bridge to the future, but then it turned out with all this methane leaking from Texas and New Mexico, the Permian Basin, it turned out methane is a much more potent global climate change than carbon dioxide. So it's a fossil fuel. It's not as bad as coal, but we still need to be reducing it. So yeah, it's it's a problem.
The other thing that I scratch my head on a little bit is that we keep talking about how we want to protect rural Georgia, Coffee counties of the state. And if this is their pipeline, not to use a little double entendre there, but if it's their ability to bring in business so we can give jobs for people in that area of the state that's, lost population where they can make a living, what's your economic trade-off for that? Because I'm encouraged by that if we can do something to help them.
Well, natural gas pipelines, that last pipeline to Florida came through Sable Trail through southwest Georgia, and they got no taps. Georgia got nothing out of that deal. So they're working on this lateral from Albany, and they asked for a regional gas authority. We don't have a problem with that if they want to get out and sell bonds. And then we got all these IDAs. We must have 1,000 entities selling bonds in this state. So we just don't understand why GIFA needs to get into this when they got plenty to do with water and wastewater, and we don't know if they're going to get the federal money to keep going. So,
Okay. Anybody got questions for Mr. Woodall of the Sierra Club? Senator, again, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Woodall, my hearing's not real good, but did I hear you say you were promoting coal instead of natural gas? I like that idea. I said I wasn't sure what I heard, but I thought you said that coal didn't have the methane problem and was better for CO2 emissions. So I didn't want to misquote you.
I believe we had a misunderstanding there, Senator. We only got 2 coal plants left, and we were hoping they were going to be retired soon, but these data centers keep coming in here, so we're going to be seeing a big bill for new gas plants here shortly. But y'all will be hearing about that later, I'm sure.
Senator Summers, you're recognized for a question.
I appreciate what you're saying. In South Georgia, we'll take all the grants we can get if you know where we can get them. Right now, this is about loans. This is GIFA making loans for a municipality, sir. And, this is the only way we can grow in South Georgia. And I appreciate what you're saying, but we need this to help South Georgia.
Well, I think, I know Douglas has got more problems than this from Valdosta to Douglas to Augusta, but we think the governor's got, $600 million coming? And I thought that was $10.8 million was a grant, as I read that veto. So anyway, we certainly support rural Georgia.
Thank you.
Okay. And, Mark, we always like your perspective. You bring a valuable viewpoint to us to keep in mind as we consider some of the issues that come through this committee. So we're not razzing you, but we are exploring a little bit which way we should go. And if there are big negatives on this, let us know. But my good buddy Greg Goggins from Coffee County told me that this would really help that community, and he's the best buddy I ever had in this body. And I need to, except for the rules chairman. And I would not want to let him down, but on the other hand, also any good reasons, we love to hear them.
Well, we always appreciate the time, Senator, and we saw those signatures, and we figured this might be moving along, but we thought we'd give you the other side of the story anyway.
We appreciate it. It did pass last year, but we got some new faces. Senator, again, anybody have any other questions? Anybody else want to speak? Yes, Senator, again, you're recognized for a motion.
I move do pass on LC 473149, Senate Bill 13.
I got a silent second from Chairman Brass, and saw the bid. If this was an auction, he would have already purchased that. Is there any discussion or proposed amendments to this act? All right. Glad to have our scrambling DOT voting Chairman Albers come in here. You vote, y'all elect somebody? We did elect somebody. All right, you just in time to vote on a do pass motion on Senate Bill 13. That's LC 473149. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, that'll be unanimous. That is the only business we have before us today. I always like to give us a little bit of a roadmap where we want to go in the future, and I've got several bills that people are asking me to consider, and I'll make up my mind tonight. But there's one Senator Huffstetler has that deals with the electricity rates for these data centers, and basically codifying a recent Public Service Commission ruling that those type of entities should be assessed rates that include the generation charges and distribution charges, or cost, I should say, for power in addition to the consumption. We're going to hear that only, more than likely will be Thursday. I see my friend Bill Morey in the audience has a bill dealing with automobile franchise agreements. I hadn't studied it yet, but he's going to help walk me through that along with the sponsor, Senator Brass, tomorrow. That might be on Thursday. And Jeremy Collins has an alcohol bill that deals with coupons, and I hadn't studied all the other issues that has that may be considered that day as well. I can just tell you there won't be other bills considered. More than likely, those all will require a hearing for us to understand them before we take action. One other thing I want, while I have the lobbying corps here today, we have made tremendous strides in broadband expansion in our state. And a lot of you have, senators have written letters for some of the different broadband providers, both cable, phone, fiber, all types of different delivery mechanisms, because there's I think it's $1.7 billion in federal funds available to help us complete the build out. Myself and Majority Leader Gooch, as we were expanding the ways to get broadband out to what Senator Renee Unterman called the hinterlands. We think we came up with a way to do it. We're ahead of most states, and we looked at each other and said, yeah, now if we only had about $2 billion, we could afford to do it. It seemed so insurmountable at the time. We knew we had the architecture, so to speak, in place, and lo and behold, God blessed us with a lot of federal funding to help us do it. And I've been super impressed with the collaborative efforts of the EMCs and the different providers and the different groups that have really closed the gap there. If you look at our mapping to see the before and the after, it's stunning. I would love it if some of you would consider coming and giving us an update. So this is kind of an open call to any of the broadband providers that would like to report on the progress of your activities, and pat us and the state on the back for all the grand things we've done to help you do your job. It'd make us feel good. And I think it would be important for the citizens to learn exactly the progress we've made, because that's something that came through this committee. I want to do that within the next week. So you guys out there, think about it, chat around, and just contact me or Paige in our office, and we'll try to schedule some time to just get a little update on where we stand on that. So that kind of gives you a little roadmap what's coming. We'll have a lot of fun items that'll come through this committee, I'm sure, and we appreciate the committee members for being here. We got a couple of new introductions. We'll probably wait till Thursday or Tuesday to do that. I want to give you all due introductions. I hadn't finished my research, my deep dive background on y'all yet, but we'll introduce Senator Jones and Senator Sims for sure when we get back. Thank you all so much for being here, and if there's no further business, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.